Chris Cuomo here. Hey, happy Holy Week to the faithful. It is very hard to know what will happen in Iran or what will happen in the region or what will happen back here at home as a result of what's happening in those other places. We should all want the regime in Iran gone and the real Iranian people empowered so they are safe there and we are safer here. The problem's not wanting that. It's trusting that any of it happens. Here's the president today laying out the latest rendition of goals and realities.
Gas prices, today they hit $4. What is the plan to bring them back down?
All I have to do is leave Iran, and we'll be doing that very soon, and they'll become tumbling down. And we had regime change already. We've knocked out one regime, then we knocked out the second regime. Now we have a group of people that are very different. They're much more reasonable, I think much less radicalized. We have had regime change. We're dealing with people that are much more rational. Again, we have had regime change. Now, regime change was not one of the things I had as a goal. I had one goal. They will have no nuclear weapon. We're finishing the job, and I think within maybe 2 weeks, maybe a couple of days longer to do the job.
Look, it's sad but true. You can't tell me that you know that any of that is true or in any way accurate. Then after the president said that, we just got word that tomorrow there's going to be a major presidential address to the nation to provide an important update on Iran. So something happened since that? What is it? They're hiding the ball, treating it like it's a reality show, but I guess best chance we have is to check the betting markets, right? Maybe one of the people in the administration or around it will make another billion-dollar bet. Look, we all want the regime out. But that doesn't mean you have to be okay with what has happened here. With the benefit of several weeks of watching the administration search for a rationale for all of this beyond regime bad, I have a new suggestion. Maybe we're not really at war with Iran after all. I know the president and his top players all call it a war, despite initially playing it both ways because Congress had no role in an apparent constitutional violation. But looking at the objectives, or lack thereof, the shifting goalposts, the clear desperation to get out without really understanding what the investment was. Oh, yes, it was to make sure they don't get a nuclear weapon. And you believe that there's proof of that they're never going to get a nuclear weapon. And you know that how? Because you were told once before that their capabilities were obliterated, and several months more they were stronger than ever. But you know that. Okay. Look, what we're doing in Iran is decidedly something less than a war. Sure, we've been pounding sites and allegedly degrading their capabilities, allegedly reducing their real weapons, and allegedly reducing their nuclear program, and allegedly taking out layers of leadership. Now, why do I keep saying that word? Because I have TDS? No. You have TDS if you're not using that word. I and you have no clue what is true about this situation. We have been grossly misled about earlier efforts, and the facts keep changing. The goals keep changing. The president said we won weeks ago. Situation has only gotten more intense. He said the regime has now been replaced. There's no proof of that. He says they're with reasonable people now who like us, and they're going to make a deal. The player they're supposedly dealing with came out and denied that he's negotiating with them. The right is now flaunting this new Harvard poll as if this is about people wanting us to fail. And they show that 3 in 4 Americans believe that America is winning the war in Iran, including 6 in 10 Democrats. And they're waving this around like it's proof of that the truth is winning out over some fake narrative. What fake narrative? Isn't this a duh point? Who thinks the regime can contest America's might? The surprise is that the regime is still in place. They don't even have a real air force or any air defenses anymore. But you want to know what the reality is of how people feel about this. It's not that stupid piece of sophistry about whether or not people think America's military is doing what it's supposed to do or is winning. It's, do you approve of the strikes in Iran? And now what do you get? No. Less than a third say they approve of the war. Why? Because we don't know why it went now. We don't know how. They keep switching, and they say, oh, we don't want the enemy to know. No, it's that you don't seem to know. How come my brothers and sisters on the right aren't spreading that poll around? Because it's not about right and wrong. It's just about advantage of right over left. And now we have a new and most confusing suggestion. Don't worry. Oil and gas will be cheaper than ever because we'll just leave. And the Strait of Hormuz will reopen whenever we do. How does that make any sense to you? Trump demanded the regime open the strait, or they would crush their civilian infrastructure, which is arguably a war crime, by the way. And the regime said no. Then he demanded allies open the strait. Hasn't happened. And now a growing number won't even let us land in their countries. Back home, this has helped nothing. Affordability concerns are getting worse. The administration wants to pay for the war by cutting health care for those who need it most. How do you think that's going to poll? Be clear. I have never wanted this or any president to be right more than right now. When the president says that this may end in a couple of days, I hope he's right this time. My problem is, hope is not a plan. It is not a basis. And there's just no good basis to believe it as a critical thinker. And we need more of that in this situation and others. Look, that's why I have this independent merch. I'm trying to get you to brand your reality against all this messaging of which side you have to be on when common sense is too often left at the door. That's why on all my socials, you can get this stuff. Show you're an independent. Show you're different. Show you're a free agent, that you're not just paying fealty to a side that will blindly follow whatever one side says because it's good in the competition against the other. Fealty got us into this mess. Being free agents is our best way to get out of it, okay? That's why, to discuss the realities, I don't want someone from the administration who's going to say only what the president won't get pissed off at. I don't want somebody from the opposition party just to piss all over it as all doom. I want an independent, critical thinker who knows the realities. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.